Good evening, everybody. Hope you're all having a good night. We welcome you back with another day of quick devotional and another song for you. So, again, I hope in this trying time that you will. I hope in this trying time that you're able to find some peace and respite and all of that, and that you're able to find time to spend with your loved ones and to serve those around you. The song that we're doing today is a song called "There Came a Lights" by Chris Renzema. And he's a really good artist. I like a lot of his stuff. But the song is really nice because it goes through a lot of different stories, just kind of touching on them. And I kind of wanted to go through a little bit of what it talks about, and touch on a little bit of what we talked about yesterday. This idea that of uh, the grace that we're shown being tied with the grace that we show others, the forgiveness that we're shown and being tied with the forgiveness that we show others. Because, like we talked about yesterday, when Jesus said, it's not the healthy who need a doctor, it is the sick. I've come to call not the righteous, but sinners. And that's something I think we really need to always try to keep in the back of our minds is remembering what it is that we've been rescued from, but also keeping that kind of passion and desperation almost there. Where you have, in Luke chapter 8, where it refers to the woman with the issue of blood, where she's hemorrhaging, and she's just pushing through these crowds trying to get to Jesus to touch the hem of his robe because she knows she's spent all of her money on physicians and nothing has helped her. She knows this is her last effort. This is the last thing she can do. She knows this is the person that can help her. And all she has to do is reach out and touch the edge of his garment. And she's healed by that. And then we look at the father in Mark chapter 9, who has a son who's possessed by a demon. And he's asking him, if you're able, please help my son. And Jesus asks him, if I'm able. Of course I'm able. All things are possible for him who believes. The man cries out again in desperation, this, I believe, but help my unbelief. And that's something I tend to live in a lot of my days, is just, like we're able to know it up here, but able to get it to transfer here where we actually know when we believe and we have this faith and we're able to work it out. But Jesus is able to meet us there. He's able to meet us in our weakness, in our flawed nature. We're in the midst of our desperation, everything has failed, and we have this one Hail Mary shot that it feels like this, like everything else has failed thus far. How is this going to work? But at the same time, knowing that Jesus can bring us through it. And also, we have the woman who anointed the feet of Jesus. He was at dinner with Simon, and Simon didn't do the basic customary things. He didn't come in and have a servant wash the feet of his guest, who was Jesus. He didn't anoint his head with oil. But this woman came in, nothing expected of her, and obviously she not being someone who would not have been seen as being someone who should have been there because of her reputation. But she comes in, she washes Jesus' feet with her tears and anoints his feet with her this bottle of expensive perfume and washes his feet with her hair. And it's not the act in of itself that was something that was radical and that made it so that story will be told for all time. It was the fact that her heart was in it. It was this act of true worship where she came in. It wasn't just this going through the motions of doing what's basic and necessary. She gave all that she had without expecting necessarily anything in return. And Jesus' response to this is, again, like, those who are forgiven little love little, and those who are forgiven much love much. And again, remembering how much we've been forgiven, how much Christ has given to us, so that we can show that to the world around us. So in the midst of our desperation right now, in the midst of these trying times and distress, I really urge us again to go out and be the church. Do what it is that the church is supposed to do. Help those who are hurting. Heal the sick, feed the hungry, clothe the naked, do all of that. Find those around us that we can help and that we can pour the love of God out into, especially those who don't necessarily meet the criteria of those that we would want or supposedly have to have in our presence. Because these people weren't people that society would have said, oh yeah, these people deserve absolutely to be helped out and they deserve to be closer to God. The religious leaders were ignoring these kinds of people. A woman with an issue of blood, that's unclean. She's not even allowed to be in our presence. This sinful woman, how Jesus would never allow someone to touch him if he knew who she was. But knowing who these people were fully and still saying, no, I'm meeting them where they're at. I'm not here asking them to be cleaned up before they come to me. And that's what we need to do. And again, with this passage here in Romans chapter 5, starting at verse 6, it says, "For while we were still weak, at the right time, Christ died for the ungodly." Again, while we were still weak, not out of our own strength, not by our own means, in our weakness, he did this. Verse 17, in verse 7. Indeed, rarely will anyone die for a righteous person, though perhaps for a good person someone might actually dare to die. Verse 8, but God proves his love for us in that while we were still sinners, Christ died for us. So I think that's what we need to remember today is, again, it wasn't when we had gotten all of our stuff cleaned up, after we had set ourselves right, after we become sober, after we get our families all in order, after we deal with all of our mental issues and emotional issues and all of our baggage, then we can come to Christ. It's no, in our brokenness, he meets us where we're at. And by the same token, we need to go out and be meeting these same people, those that are hurting, those that are desperate, and meeting their needs without having to qualify them beforehand of being worthy, much as Christ didn't qualify us. So God, I pray, Lord, that you would, again, reveal those opportunities, soften our hearts to those that are hurting around us. God, give us those opportunities to pour into the lives of those who are hurting and desperate and seeking help, and those who are lost in this time. God, let us show your light into the dark places. God, we bless you today. We lift up your name. In Jesus' name, amen.